Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Magic. I'm your host, Kathy Hackl, and I am back after taking a week and a couple of days off. And this is the podcast where we talk about technology, AI, spatial computing, world models, gaming, you name it, everything in between. And joined, as always, by my co-host, Lee Kebler. Lee, how you doing? You're back in Portland?
I am back in Portland. It's the first rainy day of the season, so it feels like home.
It feels like Portland.
Yeah, we're back to Portland.
It feels like Portland. Yeah. So how was the episode? I mean, I listened to some of the episode with you and Nick. It seemed like a lot of fun.
I can't believe, of all the time you take off, you miss like hardware week, right? Like you missed all the hardware news. It was bananas.
Well, just to frame why, I had to have surgery. So it wasn't like necessarily a choice per se, but I'm fine, guys, everyone. I'm totally good. But yeah, I was completely out of it. So I was like, yeah, Lee, I can't do MetaConnect as much as I would have wanted to. I did hear you say I was salty about not getting invited. I'm still very salty about it. They're going to invite us next time.
You were. And I have a feeling you're going to get your invite next go around. Yeah, I mean, I haven't talked to you since MetaConnect, and we kind of, Nick and I, we kind of like hammered MetaConnect into the ground. So there's not much more to say, but I would love to get your perspective on what you saw.
Well, definitely failed demos.
Well, yeah.
Well, but I got to give it to Suck. Like, he was fine. Like, he's a total trooper in that sense. The Suck of 20 years ago probably wouldn't have handled it as well.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but he did good. I'm excited about the Meta Ray-Ban displays. I think that's a step in the right direction. I think we're going to continue to see more and more hardware. And I think my biggest, I wouldn't say it's not a revelation, something that I've been saying and I'm seeing kind of pop up, and I think I sent you some articles, is that we are not going to get to super intelligence, whatever people want to call it, just through LLMs. We need new architectures, new models. There's absolutely no way. Like, I don't care. Like, you're delusional in my perspective. If you think LLMs in their current form are going to lead us there, you need new architectures and new models.
I wouldn't say delusional.
Delulu. No, I think they're a Delulu if they think LLMs are going to lead us to superintelligence.
No, I think if you think LLMs are going to lead us to superintelligence, you don't understand what an LLM is.
Thank you. Okay, you're kinder. Oh, wow. Good cop, bad cop here. What happened?
I mean, you take 1 week off and look what happened.
My goodness. Oh, my goodness. You get good Lee.
No, but it is a thing that it comes with my own very real frustration with society of like, okay, can we just dial it back and have our level set? Now, I wholeheartedly blame this misunderstanding to the tech companies that are making this technology. That includes Meta, that includes OpenAI, that includes Google, that includes all of them. They have positioned themselves into a place telling everyone like this will change the world. Now, I actually do think it will change the world. It just isn't going to change it as drastically or the areas you think it's going to change. And it's just a lack of companies educating the public as they're trying to raise obscene amounts of money like that.
Because, I mean, it's interesting. I think about that. They're trying to raise, I feel like tech, you used to have announcements trickle in like every couple of weeks. Now it's like, I feel like OpenAI is raising funds every week. Like, that's not true, but I feel like there's a big announcement, it's crazy.
I think it is true because even NVIDIA is sinking up billions of dollars into OpenAI. Okay, help me understand this because I think you have a better perception on this, but there's a lot of confusion and I haven't fully figured it out. There seems to be a weird cyclical cycle of money. Okay, so NVIDIA is giving money to OpenAI. They're investing in OpenAI. OpenAI then goes and invests in buying more NVIDIA processors. That money goes back to, I just don't understand like how that's sustainable or what's really happening there. I don't get it.
this is the only thing I can understand here is that there is so much capital that wants to go into like NVIDIA or OpenAI or anything that they're doing. And in OpenAI, let's be honest, OpenAI takes a lot of money to run. Let's be very clear, like very, very clear.
It's a furnace and you're just shoveling dollars.
I mean, I don't even know what their burn rate is, but right at the rate they're going. So I think it's all kind of a loop of the crazy, ridiculous amount of valuations, the crazy, ridiculous amounts of money and capital that's flying into these places, the need for more capital expenditure. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I can't make sense of it necessarily. I mean, I don't know.
No, I understood when NVIDIA made the investment into Intel. I thought that was actually really smart because Intel has, and this has, I think personally, none of this is said public, but I'm just reading the math on the page here. Intel has a lot of manufacturing in the United States. NVIDIA does not. We have a massive tariff issue right now. And so NVIDIA has a struggle with like products. So I can see, I mean, I'm assuming, but I can see the connection. And Intel never really successfully competed with NVIDIA when it came to GPUs. So there's not even like a strong competition area because NVIDIA is not interested in the CPU industry. At least I don't think they are. And I think Intel is coming to terms with their GPUs not being able to withhold the strength, but they have a good footprint in manufacturing. They're one of the few large-scale manufacturing companies in the United States, period. And so I understood that, but seeing the OpenAI thing really confused me quite a bit.
I just feel like it's also like, it's like inbreeding. I'm sorry, but I just feel like it's a constant inbreeding situation. But then you've got Apple saying, hey, let's work with Anthropic so we're not as dependent on OpenAI.
Did you see that OpenAI admitted I was right?
Yes.
They practically put my name in the article.
When I saw it, I thought of you. Yeah, but tell people what we're talking about.
An article out of Computer World, OpenAI finally admits that, quote unquote, hallucinations are mathematically inevitable. They basically confirmed that what they call hallucinations. Now, for those who don't know, the definition of hallucination is a plausible but false response. Now, I really want you to hone in on what I just said there. A plausible but false response. Not merely engineering flaws, but mathematically inevitable. These plausible but false responses are in their current architecture. What that means, for those who want to read between the lines, is it gets things wrong. I consider hallucinations.
It's a mistake. Come on.
No, I think it's a wrong answer, right?
It's a wrong answer. I don't care what you call it in marketing terms.
People, living beings, hallucinate. This is a malfunction within our brain.
Oh, let's clarify. Not everyone hallucinates.
Of course we do. Every night you go to sleep, you hallucinate.
Well, okay, yeah, but not on a regular basis.
Do you not sleep on a regular basis? You dream every night.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, if you're hallucinating, you'll get put on meds. On a daily basis, if you're a functioning person at work.
If you are hallucinating while you are conscious, yes. But every night for what's supposed to be 8 hours, but is often a lot less.
Well, yes, your brain is cleaning itself.
You go comatose and you hallucinate for hours on end.
Yeah, but, I don't know. Anyway, what is going on?
Welcome back, Kathy.
Positive. My God. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, no,
It's all changed.
I do want to kind of steer us further into some OpenAI stuff that is coming up. Parental controls have been announced for parents and teens. I'm full approval of that. I think that that's a step in the right direction. Is it all perfect? I haven't tested it. Let's see, right? But it's a step in the right direction. Any tools that these tech companies can give us to try to be better, at managing our kids' times online, I'm going to take them. I do as much as I can personally, but I'll take all the tools. So,
I mean, I think if a kid has to use OpenAI and they're just on a free tier, you get like 5 minutes before you get that pop-up that says you've run out of time. It's got parental controls. I'm stuck on them.
Yeah, parental, monetary controls. Oh my God.
Okay, so I do have to say this. Over the weekend, I have to do a little bit of a pullback here. I wanted to build something I didn't know how to build. And you know that I'm not a big fan of the term vibe coding as a developer. But I will say, I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm going to give this a whirl instead of sitting there and coding it from scratch. And I do think that there's just a misunderstanding behind where vibe coding, quote unquote, one, it's a horrible term. Like it immediately puts a bad taste in people's mouth. But where companies are bringing in things like ChatGPT to replace developers, it's the wrong move. But I understand better why now, because it is an incredibly powerful tool. But if I'm a tech company owner My goal right now is to hire as many junior devs as I can who just know the principles of coding and let them use ChatGPT or whatever, Copilot, you name it, to do their work, not to replace them because it can't. It just genuinely can't.
Not in the current state.
No, in its current state, it just spits out stupidity. But as a developer, the weight that it took off my shoulders, I was able to build an application that would normally take me 3 months to build in a day. Now, it was over the course of the weekend. I probably put in like 5 hours per day in it and in areas that I didn't know how to do. A lot of development, for those who have never been behind the keyboard in IDE, is about figuring out libraries and dependencies you don't know exist to make the app do the thing that you want it to do. And that was the quickest time save, was utilizing ChatGPT to figure out, okay, I'm going to build something in Python. I don't specifically write in Python very well. I was a Ruby on Rails developer, but I know this is the right way to do it. And it just kept walking me through, here's the dependencies you need, here's how you load them, blah, 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 blah. And within like 10 hours, I was done. And I built an audio processing tool for my music production that doesn't exist, that I just really wanted, that I could use on the fly. It's not pretty, but it does exactly what I want it to do.
But it does exactly what you need. It makes your life easier, right? I love that.
And it's not enough that any company was going to go out and build this for me, right? Like, it's not something I could have bought off the shelf. And so it just kind of shifted my perspective on that, where if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I think I'm going to go in and we're going to start replacing these developers with AI, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Don't do that. But give them all pro accounts, like $20 a month for each dev.
Can you imagine how much money? I mean, even pro accounts, like how much they'd save if they gave them pro accounts? Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
Like, do that thing because your output is so much higher. It's really changing a perspective.
Did you use anything else? Did you use Claude? I mean, a lot of people use Claude for coding, or, I mean, sometimes, I personally use lovable.dev if I'm doing like a little app or like a game or.
I probably could have, but I started in it and it went so quickly and it had like the history of the application because it just is a very set thing that I could just keep tossing in errors and it knew where I was. To switch over to another platform, even if the one was going to be better for it, it was such a happen chance thing that I even tried it that just spiraled out of control and then finished with an app. And I was like, oh, okay, I get this. We need a different term for it. But like the secret behind all professional developers is that we Googled everything for the last 20 years. So just give us all pro accounts at work and you'll be fine. This is an interesting switch for me.
I love that. I love it. So we've been talking a lot about OpenAI, AI, and tools. How do you feel about advertisement of AI companies? Because there's 2 ads I want to talk about.
It depends on what the company's doing. Coming from the music space, I've been watching a lot of like AI music companies. And quite frankly, they've all, from a marketing perspective, been very morally disappointing. I've not seen a lot that I was like, yeah, this makes sense for artists who want to make music. It was almost like these were tech companies that were like, we'll make a music app for people who can't make music. And that goes into the whole thing of like, why are we using AI to replace things that people enjoy doing? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I spent about a week in Los Angeles last week. I was down there with Nick, and I went to a couple of tech meetups and a couple of recording studios, and some of them were very bullish on AI. But those conversations were a mile wide and an inch deep. It didn't add up. There's so very few people who are in the music industry, are music artists, and are developers. It's pretty much all music producers who are in like electronic dance music because like we're all developers for some reason, but everyone else is just like.
Everyone's like, oh, yeah, so funny.
Yeah. So a lot of those conversations, you could see a divide. It was like Moses parting the seas in the room. Like you could just see the split immediately happen emotionally. And some of the stuff that they demoed was genuinely great and really helpful for a lot of artists, a lot of indie artists who are like, I need headshots. Okay, well, we're going to do this. Like, I get it. Indie artists don't have the money to go out and hire the photographer. That sucks for the photographer. I don't know where that balance is done right or how we make that work. But I'm a fan of music tools that support people making music. And, I used AI to make a music tool, but it doesn't make music for you. It's something you have to like manipulate, right? And I've always kind of been on that side of the fence. So I don't know. You tell me about what your advertisement is and I'll tell you if I hate it or not.
Well, and I do want to mention, we're not going to get into Tilly Norwood and the AI actress controversy. Like, we're not going to get into that. I'm sure other podcasts are covering that, but that's an AI actress created by this young fella. And a lot of people in Hollywood are having a very strong reaction to Tilly Norwood. So anyway, we won't get into it. But I will say there's 2 advertisements that came out, and Adweek's been actually sharing them online. One of them is friend.com. Friend.com is a device, a piece of hardware. They spent $1 million advertising in the New York metro area, including the actual metro. And I actually sent this to you a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many weeks ago, my friend Francesca Hoagie, who's been a guest here of the podcast, she's put it out in one of the groups I'm a part of, and it's a picture of the ad. It just said, it had the pendant, it just said friend.com. Did not say anything about AI, did not say anything about recording, et cetera, et cetera. Even the website doesn't say much about AI, but they spent about $1 million advertising in New York. I wonder what the ROI might have been for them if they sold.
This is the same pendant, though, that's not like been welcomed. Like it's gotten some pretty gnarly reviews.
Yeah. It's the same pendant. It's this exact. If you go to friend.com, and I'm not telling you to go and buy that at all. I don't have one. I haven't bought one. I don't intend to buy one. But my friend saw the ad on the metro, and now all the information's coming out that they spent $1 million advertising in the New York metro area. So I don't know.
What was the advertisement, though?
It was literally a picture of the pendant and just said friend.com.
So it's just very analog.
No AI, new hard, like nothing. It was literally the pendant, friend.com. If I'm a curious teenager and I'm into jewelry, I'd probably go to friend.com.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were confused and you thought like might be like a new dating app or something like that, I could see it creating a little bit of that confusion. I don't know. We've seen this before. We saw this with the rabbit. We saw this with the humane pin.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's literally what the website looks like, friend.com. It's literally the pendant, and it doesn't even say, it just says friend, and it doesn't even say AI till later. That eventually shows you like where you record and kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like kind of a rabbit hole approach to marketing for your product if you don't want to have to come face to face with the immediate reaction of like, oh, this is an AI hardware company, and do exactly what I just did and bring up like previous failed attempts at this and go, okay, well, how is this any different when it might not be? Yeah, I mean, I think everyone is struggling to figure out where the placement of AI is in their business. You had sent me this, and you do kind of have like the background on researching AI boyfriends and what it means to date in the age of AI. And you had sent me this article about AI-driven celebrity voice clones and chat boyfriends. And I liked the article because it basically brought up ethical concerns, psychological questions, what it means for intellectual property for human attaching in a persona. Do they have to get clearance for that? Which is something that I've been asking ever since 11 Labs kind of came out, and all of a sudden you could like have your ebook read by like Snoop Dogg. So let's say they clear all of this out. Which celebrity chat AI boyfriend are you downloading first?
Am I downloading first? I prefer my human boyfriends, which I don't have, by the way. I don't have a human boyfriend right now, or plural. But yeah, anyway. I love Pedro Pascal. I think the internet loves Pedro Pascal. I think Pedro Pascal will be a very big AI boyfriend hit. I have to make a full confession here, and it's so freaking cringy. So I'm so sorry, everyone. But when I was a teenager, I was completely in love with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I had a
I knew this. I so knew this. Yes.
I'm so embarrassed by this.
I don't think it was a used to be. I think you still are. Like
he's a little older now. I don't know. I don't know if I'm in love with him anymore. And there's been a lot of controversies around him.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. My teenage self would probably be like, I would love for him to read me, some poetry. So JCVD in his, not, in his French accent because he's from Brussels. I think that's what I would choose. Or Michael B. Anthony. That's it.
I kind of wonder if this is also like where people are asking what's the legalities of the intellectual property of a persona and things like that. But I see it a little bit different because as you and I have both worked in situations where we've been around extremely famous people for large amounts of time, and you understand that a lot of that is just branding. And I was actually in the car with Adam Davis, our friend who has co-hosted on the show before while I was down in Los Angeles, and the weirdest topic came up of 2005, the ringtone era, where a bunch of like smart artists realized like, oh, my record sales are down because of iTunes, and they were trying to figure out how to compensate, but a ringtone back then was like $5. So artists, especially in like pop and hip hop music, started making music that specifically was targeting also being good ringtone music. This was a fad that lasted for about 5 years, and some artists did very well on it. And I kind of look at this and go, is this the new ringtone? Is this the new thing that artists who maybe they're trying to figure out how to compensate for a change in like their studios utilizing AI and now they're making a little bit less money? Like, is this a new opportunity for them to kind of sell their persona? I kind of think it is.
Probably. I mean, yeah, it probably is. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see kind of how it progresses. I don't know. Oh, it's so confusing at times. So confusing. I will say I did get interviewed by Slate.com about an article they were writing about meet the women falling in love with their AI boyfriends. They did not interview me as falling in love with my AI boyfriends because I did not. It was more of a fun experiment. I'm broken. We're broken up. I'm all interested in humans at this point. But they did use me as a futurist, kind of talking about some of the things that I saw, like how psychophantic it was. It doesn't really lead to real kind of intimacy, depending on where you stand on that. But yeah, it's been interesting to see kind of the progression. So I don't know. Whether it's friend.com or a AI boyfriend Pedro Pascal, things are very interesting, to say the least.
I mean, in some places are finding it hard to connect the dots when it comes to AI. There was a great article that came out about Lionsgate Films.
Yes, that was a good one.
Oh, wow. They really went into trying to figure out how to bring in AI for producing films. But at the end of the day, it's a struggle because there's only so much you can do, especially with like storytelling, realism, controlling what's actually on the screen. I really struggled with this, trying to utilize some of the people saw the demos of AI video output, but those were all very curated and not easy to make. This is not a simple, it's almost arguably harder in some instances to get AI to do the thing you want it to do than to just go get a camera and shoot it. And I think a lot of studios are realizing that the images we saw, yes, they were real, but the effort behind it was hidden. And that effort is just as equally as a big lift. Yeah. How do you get AI to tell you a story that's never been told when all it does is scrape stories that have been told?
It's interesting. This is a really good question because one of the companies I would recommend people keep their eyes on in that sense is called Secret Level. It's actually run by my friend Eric Shamlin and Jason Sada. And when we were at TED, by the way, I'm going to TED Next, which is kind of their big event in November. It's all about the future of you. That's what the focus is. So I'll be talking more about that. But at TED in Vancouver, they did this thing where Jason got on stage. He talked about AI and filmmaking, and he had people randomly throw ideas. Character, theme, topic, main, blah, blah, blah. Like all this random stuff that would never have happened unless it were at TED. Like no one's going to put all these things together. And then at the end of TED, they came back and showed us like a short film. And you could tell the work that had been done from a storytelling perspective. But I think it has to be done in such a very, very focused way. They have to be experts at storytelling. So I would keep your eye on what they're doing because I feel like they themselves are masters at this. It doesn't mean that everyone can do this and that everyone can master it, like you said. But definitely keep your eye on Secret Level.
Yeah, I mean, as a songwriter, there has been times where I've played with a bunch of different ones and just to see what the language model can do for like songwriting. And it can give you some interesting rhyme schemes and rhyme patterns. There's some value to it. It's got some power behind it. But is it going to write the next smash hit? It isn't.
Did AI write Golden?
No.
Or Soda Pop? Which is like everywhere now, right? Oh my God.
This is the first thing that as soon as I was watching.
You Googled it? You looked for that?
I absolutely Googled it.
Oh, wow.
I looked up K-pop Demon Hunters, how the music was written, who the actual vocalists were. There's no AI. They were very clear in that because the second, if you know the history of K-pop and you look at modern K-pop, you could see where like, okay, we're just going to have like robots make it. And then we're going to throw up like an anime singer and it's fine. And it felt like the prime stage to prove that it could be done, and they didn't do it. And I love them for it. It just makes me like the movie more. Because I was listening to it, I'm like, wow, these lyrics are really good. Please tell me this isn't AI. And it wasn't.
Written by humans.
It wasn't.
Well, okay, so before we go on break and stuff, I do want to talk about some other ads that are popping up, which is the OpenAI ChatGPT ads that are focused on humanity. One of them is focused on like someone cooking a recipe. The other one's about someone like fixing a car. So they're focusing on how this helps you as a human, not about how amazing the LLM is, how it's going to lead us to AGI. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think it's because they desperately need people to use the tool. I don't think the average person, the average human being is actually leveraging ChatGPT at all.
I think everyone uses ChatGPT. Are they leveraging? Oh my gosh, I feel like so many people use ChatGPT.
I think about the circles that you and I run in, yes.
And my masseuse, no, like my nanny, my masseuse, like people that are not in our necessarily tech circles. Like I hear about all these people.
Is that because you live in DC?
I don't know. Is it?
I mean, I know it's a random question.
I don't know. I mean, people in Latin America, like, I don't know.
I live in a kind of like a weird like city where half the city is very tech driven and half the city is very analog.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? And so a lot of my day, I run into people all the time who've just genuinely, they've heard of it, but they refuse to use it. So I don't know. I'm asking the comparison because there's been such an influx in DC when it comes to like the AI stuff.
I mean, the OpenAI just rented this giant space in DC and they're opening up next year. I mean, everyone's opening offices here. So maybe I just feel like everyone's ChatGPT. Like there's so many songs written about ChatGPT now, like in English and in Spanish and in all sorts of languages.
I do think if I'm wrong about them just needing more people to utilize the platform, I wish I could be.
Well, more users always is better for them, right?
Right. I do think they're following in the footsteps of Meta, who's always pushed their AI as something that the actual person would use. Most of OpenAI's like marketing was very LinkedIn bro, very Forbes article. Can we raise $1 bajillion? Like there was almost, even by the name, OpenAI, ChatGPT, none of that is really normal person friendly. What is a ChatGPT?
What's a GPT? Yeah. I mean, now everyone says it, right? It's like regular, like at the time I was like, what is a GPT? So that's a good point. I will say this, and you probably haven't heard this because I didn't share this with you. So I'll give this to Suck. Threads has surpassed X, Twitter, in daily active users worldwide.
I believe that. Okay. But is that true?
Who knows anymore?
Right. But this is the real...
GPT, I don't know. Maybe it'll hallucinate.
It depends on what they mean by active daily users. Technically, every time I post to Instagram, it gets posted to Threads. I've never opened a Threads app.
Oh, that's a good point.
I've never opened that dumb app. It's not even on my phone.
Really?
It's not even on my phone because I don't communicate that way. I was burnt out on Twitter before Elon Musk even came into the picture, right? So that short form stuff I've found to be unhealthy.
It wasn't your cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I wonder how many people are just using Threads as kind of part of their...
It's just a part of the pass-through. So technically, I guess I count as an active daily user, but I don't actually ever use it.
Because you're posting daily on Instagram. So
right.
Mostly daily. I don't know. That's a really good question. Very valid question. Very valid. Very valid. Before we go on break, I do want to mention... I cannot wait to see what kind of tech ads we're going to get during the Super Bowl. And by the way, mad respect to Bad Bunny, who is doing the halftime show. I'm a big fan. As a Latina, I'm like so proud to be Latina. Like, you go, Bad Bunny, this is your year. So I cannot wait. I don't think he's going to use a lot of tech in his show.
It's been Bad Bunny's year for like 3 years, though. Like, that dude's just on a roll.
Like, he's Bad Bunny.
To me, he actually replaced Justin Timberlake on SNL. You know, like the dude who could just show up.
Oh my gosh, yes. He just shows up.
It's like, oh, okay, Bad Bunny's here. Write him in a sketch real quick. Come on, hurry up. Do it.
Benito's here. Come on, let's write him in. That is so funny.
Boot up ChatGPT. We need a script real quick.
But yeah, I wonder what kind of tech ads we're going to start getting during the Super Bowl.
I want to see more tech in the sports themselves. I came from Intel Sports. We worked on the Olympics. We did a lot of AI for the Olympics that people don't realize. And this was back in 2019, 2020, computer vision stuff. And I'm just surprised we're not seeing more of it. And this will be the last article we hit before we take a break. But Major League Baseball just announced that they are testing robot umpires. It's called an automatic ball strike system, or ABS, which is going to throw off like car mechanics like crazy. But yeah, the automated ball strike system. I am shocked that this is getting pushback, but it is getting pushback. It's...
Well, if you're an umpire, like, hey,
you're out of there. Like, I don't know. No, it's not going to get rid of the umpires, but it is something where it's like, we always question. You watch the game. It's waned in popularity, but if you watch a baseball game, I grew up watching baseball. You always question what the umpire saw specifically when it comes to how it crossed the plate. It's very subjective. And for something like this to be able to tell you right away, I always thought this was good tech. This is very similar to some of the stuff that we were working on when it came to computer vision at Intel, and like the stuff that we were doing with the 3DAT systems, of being able to look and give you accurate data of what is actually happening here. And it was always supposed to, if it was ever going to be in a situation that it was going to be utilized by an umpire, it should have been to ensure that the umpire is correct, right? Like they go back and they review the footage. We didn't kick the cameras out of the game or the slow motion replay. It's just another tool. My favorite one is it messes with tradition. I'm like, tradition of what? Paying off umpires? Like, I don't know what tradition are you talking about? Getting things right?
Viola, music, I mean, traditions? I don't know. That's so funny. Well, we'll see. I do think I'm a big motorsports fan, and I've talked about going to the Miami Grand Prix. Like, I think that's a sport that if there was a robot driving the car, I don't think I'd get as excited.
No, but oh my gosh, you weren't on the last podcast with me gushing over like my first Waymo ride, but I think I texted you and was just
oh my gosh, yes. No, I saw your video. I've never seen you so excited.
That was so bananas.
Your wife and I were just kind of like, oh my gosh, it's so genuine and authentic.
It was shocking. No, I wouldn't watch like NASCAR with a bunch of robot drivers. That doesn't make any sense. It basically becomes like the old slot cars of like the 1970s at that point. But there's a future there. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Well, let's go on break. And then, what do we have after the break? You can tell folks.
When we come back, I had a great conversation with Tom from Dassault Systèmes. They are in the enterprise spatial computing space, focusing on a 3D live app, specifically for the Apple Vision Pro. So we will hear about that as soon as we come back.
Blowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them? That's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This message is brought to you by Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. And this is more than an ad. This is an invitation to be part of the stories the world can't stop watching, to connect with moments that dominate the conversation, to participate in culture, not just advertise around it. With the most sought-after IP, passionate audiences, and an advanced AI-powered foundation, WBD advertising transforms attention into influence and impressions into outcomes. This is innovation. This is impact. This is opportunity. This is Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. Visit advertising.wbd.com to learn more.
Hey, Yetis, this is Nick and Jack from the Best One Yet podcast. Now, the last company we worked at, they used Paylocity and everything just worked. It wasn't until launching our own media business, this show, that we realized how rare that is.
Because Paylocity is one delicious burrito of operational needs. They roll up HR, finance, and IT seamlessly into one delicious bite.
When everything wraps together like that all at once, your workforce, your tech stack, your business, you don't need more tools. You don't even need cilantro.
You need one solution.
And that is why Paylocity built a single platform to connect HR, finance, and IT with AI-driven insights and automated workflows that simplify the complex and power what's next.
Or as we call it, a delicious operational burrito.
Yes, we do. Experience a one place for all your HCM needs, besties.
So start now at Paylocity.com/one.
Paylocity.com/ONE.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back to Tech Magic. My name is Lee Kebler, and I am joined by Tom Acland. Well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, your role at Dassault Systèmes. Go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself. This is very interesting stuff.
Sure, thanks. Great to be here. My name's Tom Acland. I'm from 3DEXCITE, the 3DEXCITE product group within Dassault Systèmes. 3DEXCITE is a division within Dassault Systèmes that helps our manufacturing clients take their products to market. So we kind of are the segue, if you will, between the engineering world, the world of science and numbers, and media. So ultimately what people see when those capabilities that our clients are bringing to the world are turned into value propositions.
Yeah. So my background, when I got into the spatial computing, I started in enterprise design, manufacturing, previs tools. VR is such a huge thing for that. AR is going to be even bigger. I'm just such a big banner waver for that use of the technology. You recently collaborated with Apple to bring some of their really powerful spatial computing experiences to that enterprise field with the Apple Vision Pro. Tell me a little bit about the nature of that collaboration and so far its impact that you've had on the enterprise market.
Sure. So, Dassault Systèmes has been working with clients for about 40 years. And really, I guess our impact on the world has been through the breakthroughs, the scientific and engineering breakthroughs that our clients have brought to our everyday lives. And we do that really by providing them with the capability to build virtual worlds that affect real life. And I think the way that happens is really by representing the science and engineering concepts that our clients are developing in a way that is accessible to everyday people in the enterprise, but also ultimately to their customers. And that's kind of been, I would say, the primary driver for the work that Dassault Systèmes does is really to create that segue. But at the same time, if we think about what that representation in media means, is also a constraint based on how we've typically been able to look at things that have been developed using computers. So, the world is basically, nothing in the world is really flat, or very few things are really flat. And yet every representation we make ultimately of a real world thing largely ends up on a 2D screen. And that's, I think, been the biggest difference.
And I agree fully. The Apple Vision Pro, I think, is one of the most talked about and interesting wearable, like on head. They don't want me to call it a VR headset. It's not a VR headset. It's an Apple Vision Pro.
A spatial computing device.
It's a spatial computing device, right? But it's so different from what we've seen from other devices prior to it. And we've not seen anything really like it since. Definitely a product that I think stands out for that enterprise market. In your view, what makes it stand out and stand apart from anything else that is in the market right now?
I think there are two things particularly from the perspective of the enterprise space. The first is really related to what we do, and that's trying to create these virtual worlds for real life. And so I personally think that the Apple Vision Pro has really done the best job of being able to fuse those virtual representations of science, engineering, ground truth, if you will, with the space around us and with the physical space in which people work. So that fusion of virtual and real, I think, is something that's quite unparalleled in terms of how the device feels when you wear it. But also, these things have to be diffused into companies to make them useful. And the fact that this device is based on Apple's heritage as a computing company makes it very easy to deploy and use inside the enterprise. And I think that's almost as important in terms of the adoption of this technology within businesses.
Got it. Okay, so all of this is basically functioning around Dassault Systèmes having a live 3D app, and that goes with the Apple Vision Pro. How does that app work towards transform collaboration for the teams that you're working with, especially on like complex systems? Tell us about like the app itself, because it sounds like it's a collaboration like meeting tool app, but give us a deeper dive into what this app looks like.
So 3D Live is really a sort of powerful combination of two already pretty powerful technologies. So we've got on the one hand, Apple Vision Pro. We've got on the other hand, a platform called 3D Experience, which is the Dassault Systèmes platform for doing innovation. And those two things, when you bring them together, you fuse them together, you've got 3D Live, which is an app which is actually running on the Apple Vision Pro. And it does three things that help our clients really bring innovation to life. The first is it allows you to showcase your virtual twins. So this is essentially like a visualization capability, which allows you to sort of see what you're doing on the 3D Experience platform. The second thing is really about simulation. So it allows you to interactively simulate the operation of those devices, technology which you're actually developing using 3D Experience. And the third one is about accelerating collaborative workflows immersively. And that's kind of imperative in these science and engineering domains where you've got people working with each other all around the world. And they really need a kind of shared context so that they can talk about and look at and reflect on, test out these systems which are being developed by distributed teams all over the place.
So these type of like enterprise tools, especially when it comes to like headsets, they've been right there. They're on the tipping point since like 1992, right? Like the first time we had the first wave of VR, and every movie told us that it was coming out in the next 5 years. And then we had to wait till like 2016. So what makes now the tipping point? What has changed now that is making enterprise actually adopt en masse?
Yeah, it's kind of like fusion, isn't it? For the last 70 years, it's been perpetually 30 years away. But I mean, I think, really there are two elements to this. And I think the first one is really associated with the sort of supply side. So, like technology which has been maturing rapidly in the last 3-5 years, which has suddenly made new things possible. So the main one of those I would say is really about the power of silicon, and not just in terms of brute force, but the efficiency that silicon has really started to deliver to all kinds of computing in the last 3 to 5 years. It's been just really a step change in what computers can do. I think then the second part of that sort of supply side, if you will, is really about an increasing standardization, which has taken place in terms of how we diffuse media or content in 3D, which really makes 3D a first-class citizen of the internet. So we went from text to images to film, and now I think we're really on the cusp of 3D becoming on a par with some of those more adopted things. So that's supply side. On the demand side, I think those technologies have also had an effect actually in the way that all kinds of products are developed. So, cars are getting smarter, or robots are becoming capable of interacting with the space around them because of their sensory capabilities and the way that they've been trained to understand the world. So on the demand side, it's really about how do we develop those highly adaptive experiences? We need new tools. And so I think companies are actually looking for new tools in order to allow them to take advantage of those sort of fundamental capabilities the computers have made possible in the last 3 to 5 years.
So speaking of the companies themselves, what industries do you really think are going to be like most beneficial for what you're doing in spatial computing, where spatial computing is heading? And can you talk about like what companies have already like maybe signed up to be a part of this?
Sure. Look, I think if you were sort of the one-line argument really be those companies that are working in spaces where products are becoming more adaptive. So they're becoming more able to adapt themselves to the specific needs of a specific person at a specific moment in time. And that sort of starts just by like the speed with which products are being developed. So you can look at that in terms of categories like automotive, transportation, mobility. You've got this whole low altitude economy, which is kind of arriving. So everything from, EV tolls, drones, like all kinds of things, which are really exploding in terms of their innovation or the new types of products in that space. But you've also got things like just consumer packaged goods and retail, which also seems to have really gone through a step change in the last 3-5 years in terms of the speed at which companies are able to identify a trend, develop a product to meet some new needs and wants coming out of consumers. So it's really about like the speed. The sort of logical progression of that goes back to that question of how products themselves are becoming smarter. Because I guess the ultimate progression of adaptability is when the product is capable of sensing you and its environment and then changing what it does for you, like more or less in real time. So that's, I think, any of those industries like automotive, industrial equipment, aerospace, those products are starting to become, all those aspects of products are starting to become more fundamental. Now, you asked about how is that sort of being rolled into market as people start to adopt 3D Live? And the way that we've sort of addressed this is to look at each of these target markets sequentially. So we started back in the summer, really putting a focus on automotive. And actually, the Apple WWDC announcement contained a reference to one of our clients, namely Hyundai, who, if you saw the announcement video, you've seen some people using actually 3D Live in a collaborative way with an Ioniq 9, which is one of Hyundai's vehicles. And then after that, we sort of went into that aerospace area and around Le Bourget, which is the Paris Air Show, sort of July time. There were companies like Virgin Galactic, Deutsche Aircraft, and we actually introduced a new one called Jamco, who make a lot of interior of aircraft just recently. And now we're sort of getting into industrial equipment. So again, in Japan 2 weeks ago, we introduced a new client called Class who make agricultural equipment. And as we roll on forward, we're going to be looking also at areas like medtech and areas like consumer packaged goods and retail, as I mentioned before. So we're kind of looking at industry by industry, those areas or those industries where we think this technology can be a game changer.
A lot of those industries, along with like the hardware we're talking about, kind of move in like 5 to 10 year jumps, right? So the Apple Vision Pro was at basically the end of a 10-year leap when it comes to where we saw like the original Oculus before anyone owned it, when it was just like Palmer Luckey doing his thing, all the way to Apple Vision Pro. It's about 10 years. Smack dab in the middle of that is when we started getting things like the Vive and like really high-end VR. So we move in these 5 to 10 year increments. Where do you see this industry, the potential of all of this going in 5 years and then in 10 years?
So I think we're on a sort of trajectory that looks a bit like Moore's Law, right? On one end, we've got next generation capabilities if we look out. So where does this take us in terms of, sort of the bleeding edge, really the maximum that we could imagine? And on the other end, we've got a democratization effect, or rather a more accessible form factors and a broader spread of this technology. Perhaps not right at the apex, but certainly at the base of how these technologies get diffused. And I think we can already see that. I mean, there are other companies which are bringing out products which really address the mass market already, right? And I think so we're going to see both of those trends play out over the next 3 to 5 years, I think, where you're going to see more and more devices at the base, which may not be quite as capable in terms of all the feature set that Apple Vision Pro has, but will become sort of part of our everyday lives. And at the same time, we're going to see an increment in the overall, the real apex functionality. I think probably the element that brings those two things together, if you will, like the next event horizon, I think, for this sorts of technology on both ends of that spectrum is really, I think, how these devices are able to perceive the real world and give you experiences which actually wrap themselves around your immediate interaction space. And it meant what you're seeing.
Yeah. So not us seeing into it, but it seeing into us, really, right? Looking back.
Yeah. And well, precisely. And I think that applies to industry as much as to consumers, So I think we can imagine how there could be really useful consumer applications if you're able to understand the story behind some of the products that we use. That could be a really useful way of understanding better how these products can work for you and maybe some of their attributes that are not immediately visible. But at the same time, that sort of approach might also be useful for companies. So, one of the things that we've spoken about with companies as we've started to introduce this technology is they've actually started to ask us, hey, we could author information in a completely new way if we can use this type of device to actually record our activity around some of those industrial processes. So you could imagine like how companies prepare to put a complex system into market. A big part of that is preparing for service and maintenance, for example.
That makes a lot of sense. So tell people a little bit about like where they can find more about the company, Dassault Systèmes, the 3D Live app. And I always like to give an opportunity because every time you do an interview, you talk to somebody and you kind of have this feeling, you never know if they're on the other end going, oh, if they would have just asked me about that thing, I wanted to talk about that thing. So this is your opportunity to talk about whatever that thing is as well.
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. So Tom Acland on LinkedIn. I sort of publish quite a lot of content about these sorts of themes. So that's really the place to follow along, I guess, to what's going on every day as we go about doing that. Dassault Systèmes, you can find us on 3ds.com. There's lots of information there about the industries that we serve and how we're actually using this technology to support innovation with our clients. But to your question about what are the other things that I guess are out there and kind of interesting, I think Cathy's spoken a little bit in some of her recent work about the idea of heads-up media. And I kind of have an itch that I'd actually like to ask you a question about because it kind of comes from the other side of the fence, right? So we're dealing with, how do companies create these new innovations? But to my mind, heads-up media is appealing in that way because, hey, we could suddenly have all this new information which enrich people's lives about real stuff. But there's sort of the flip side of that is that sort of hyper-reality idea that goes back to, I'm going to forget his name, Matsuda, I want to say, which was really talking about, that very distractive use of immersive tech, possibly combined with crazy signal liquidity that we're going to get out of AI. And how do we make sure that these capabilities actually serve people rather than sort of distracting them or taking away from the value that our innovations kind of bring?
The thing is there's always going to be someone who makes the good version and someone who makes the bad version. It's just software, right? Like at the end of the day, these headsets or these wearables or anything, even the phone in your pocket is just a tool, right? It's like a hammer. It's a tool that can build something or it can destroy something. It just depends on who's wielding it. And I think ultimately it's going to come down to the responsibility of the user themselves. I have a lot of hope for the governing bodies within Europe to maybe actually enforce some standardization so things don't get too wild out of control because it ain't coming from us for some reason. So I think that there's a little bit of everything here that it's another form of media, right? At the end of the day. And if you look at TV and if you look at movies and you look at music, we do have a society where it can all get pretty bad for you. But that doesn't mean that there aren't regulations in place, that there's not a system in place to make sure that you know what you're getting into. And I think that that's ultimately the only thing that we can do. Anything beyond that is going to approach, I think, too controlling of that market.
I think you're right about that because, obviously it's kind of finding that line. But I guess right at the dawn of the sort of internet, we had this sort of bit of a free-for-all. And at some point, we realized that it would be really useful and actually would help innovation if we knew who he was talking to, So we invented public key infrastructure, we got HTTPS, SSL, all that stuff. And now we can able to know, okay, that's actually my bank and not, someone else.
But those were systems of necessity after we learned some harsh lessons, right? After a lot of people got scammed or lost money or whatever, what have you.
No, well, that's true. But I kind of feel like some of those lessons are leading us to a place where we start to think about how we can trust content as much as we can trust connections.
Well, that's a bigger problem right now, but yes, I hope so.
It is. I agree with you. And I think this, again, if we look at the impact of AI and the conversation around how we can tell the difference between, a fake or a real thing or whatever that means, right? Or an artistic representation. I think once we start talking about the ability of these devices to be able to understand and maybe even affect what's going on in the real world, we have to take that segue between content and things, right? Real stuff, almost as seriously as that connection between our banking app and our bank.
You are preaching to a choir right now. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Tom. Tom, thank you again for joining us. We're going to leave it with that. Tom Acland, everybody, Dassault Systèmes, check out their information on the 3D Live app. Really appreciate you joining us with Tech Magic, and we'll be back.
Thank you very much, Lee.
All right, that was the interview. I had a great time talking with Tom. Towards the end there, we started getting almost philosophical about where this kind of fits into the enterprise space and what it means for people in the future. But yeah, really interesting stuff. My background being in a VR for enterprise and for manufacturing, and to see what they're kind of doing with collaborative tools in the multiplayer space, especially with like the Apple Vision Pro, which I've always considered to be more of an enterprise solutions piece of hardware anyways. Just really, really great stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone that's building in this space, I'm truly excited about. So amazing.
Well, I think that is going to do it for Tech Magic. I always like to leave with, what are you reading? What are you listening to? I've actually been reading more the last couple. I was traveling.
I have been, recovering and watching a lot of Netflix. So I'm not really reading anything right now.
Anything good on Netflix? I need a new Netflix binge, to be totally honest.
Oh my gosh. There's too many. I don't know.
I kind of flew through Wednesday real fast, and I enjoyed it.
We did Wednesday. I did the F1 movie with my son. That's Apple TV. That was great. He really enjoyed it. I did The Hunting Wives. I don't recommend that for everyone. That's not for everyone. I don't know. I'm just kind of browsing different shows and stuff.
Amazon finally finished the series of Upload.
Oh, yes. I started. That's true. I started. I'm on episode 2.
Yes, but it is a full series now. They had to take a hiatus for a long time, and they put the last 3 up out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago. So if you were stuck hanging on a cliff like I was, it's there. You can go watch it now. For me, I took a step back and was reading, and I wanted to read the book before I saw the movie, so I haven't seen the movie yet. But I read Mickey 7, which is the book that they based the movie Mickey 17 off of. I'm unsure of why they went from 7 to 17, but it's an incredibly interesting book. I found it very entertaining. It's not a long read, but when I compare it to the movie, we'll see, because I've heard very conflicting reviews. But if you're looking for a fast read about kind of a weird, strange approach to reanimation in the future and some space travel in there, it's a good book. It's worth reading. Anyways, thank you, as always, for tuning in to Tech Magic, where we always invite you to come for the tech, stay for the magic. I'm Lee Kebler, here with the incredible Kathy Hackl. Special thanks, as always, to Adweek for bringing this show to you. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave us a review. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to connect with you. Just search for Tech Magic, Kathy Hackl, or me, Lee Kebler. You'll find us. We'll be back next week.
Blowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them? That's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.